Looking at the bottom half of the pump here, you can see it looks going to look bad on camera. If I rub my finger across here, my fingernail doesn't grab anything. I cleaned the other side. Very lightly. Some 2000 grit emery cloth. See how all that just comes right out. You don't want to be taking metal out of this when you rub that over there. And here's the bottom half. I just very lightly went around it. You see a couple lines there. My fingernail still doesn't grab them. Here on the end we have the pressure regulating valve. Which goes through in here. It's always good to replace these springs because when they come weak you can lower your line pressure. Pump's very important to supply the necessary amount of pressure to your clutches. When you remove this pin, you need to remember there's a spring down here. Just don't lose that spring. Very easy to do if you tip it upside down. You can buy boost valves for the pressure regulating valve, which would be recommended. There'll be another set of snap ring pliers. It's pretty straightforward. Remove that and the rest of it will come out, and order your pressure regulating valve kit and you'll be good. Another thing to keep in mind if you're building one of these are these Teflon rings here. These are very important as well. If you get a leak here, it will burn up the rest of the transmission. As well as you can see here on the input shaft, these Teflon rings actually look brand new. You'll need a special tool for this. They make two-piece, which I don't recommend. They have a slit cut in them. And you want to take a good look at your bushings here. I would say that one needs to be replaced. And the front bushing looks pretty new. After you get the pump put back together, you have to keep in mind the two halves will not be aligned. Remove the seal. You can see here all this will shift. That is, all has to be realigned. a shift in there. See how that right in here, you can move that back and forth. If that's not aligned, these two pump halves, then when your torque converter, it will leak horribly out of the front pump. They make a special tool, looks like a hose clamp that goes around this whole perimeter of the pump. If you don't have that tool, place it back in the transmission. The bolts that you put back in for the two halves, just have them finger tight. Go ahead and, this is with no seal and nothing else inside the trans. Alright, now we'll get this drop down in here. Get it lined up. Start a couple bolts. Don't tighten them. Just enough to keep the pump from falling out. Just snug. And flip the whole case upside down, get a long extension, and tighten up the bolts. That's your other option if you don't have the tool. That keeps the pump, that lines the pump up. Move on to the 240. You should be able to flip this upside down or pull all these out. I'll flip it upside down. Alright. Stack those in order. Now you have your piston. You have another snap ring. In order to get the snap ring off, you have to compress this cage. You got locking tabs on the side, so you won't be able to get this off without compressing this. This drum is pretty straightforward. A little bit of cleaning out here. Transmission fluid and 2000 grit emery cloth, and that'll clean up, look like just brand new. There's no ridges in it. It's in good shape still. This drum looks to be in good shape. Get your feeler gauge in here after you get the snap ring installed. Make sure it's all within specification. That's pretty well it for that. Pretty straightforward. Move on to the input drum here. That's where most people have their problems. Third gear goes out, third gear clutches burn out. There's more snap rings around the outer here. You got a sprag,